So we send our buses out around, I think, 12:15 to pick up little kids from Coatesville. Hey there. And
Skip oatmeal.
and we so they get back here around 12:30 or 12:45. Again, we have our team waiting there to receive them. We want them to feel like we are so excited that they're here, because we are. And then we have about 20 minutes where we don't let any water, no one gets in the water, everyone stays dry. We wait for all the vans and buses to get here. Introductions, people say hi to each other again, a little bit of games start. And then we've done camp all different ways. We've had stations and teams where we've had the whole afternoon structured. And I think that's really good, strong in some ways. We've had some days where we tried to sort of let everyone wander around and do things, and then we did a program at the end. Where we sort of settled, I don't know if it's the best way, but it's what's worked for us, is before they're too tired or too wound up or they got too dirty or too sweaty or too wet, about 20-25 minutes into the day, so around 1 o'clock, we get everyone into the chapel, we quiet them down, we say we're going to pray now, which I don't think we could have done back in 1995 with the level of intensity and rowdiness that we had, but now they actually will quiet down. We pray over them, we pray for the day at camp, and then we sing songs that we've obviously pre-selected and rehearsed, and little camp songs, Christian songs, and worship songs. They do like worship. We'll sing Lord, I Lift Your Name on High with them. They love to just sing their hearts out. We'll do maybe 5 or 6 songs. I usually let it stretch as long as I feel like they'll give me in that room. I try to take as much time as I can, and then use our high schoolers as musicians and stuff. Then we walk them, we say, all right, we're going out to the banner now, and again, this has changed through the years too. We've done this all different ways, but for the last, I'd say, 5 or 6 years, we have a banner right over there. Oh, you can't see it, but we have a banner right over there outside of the snack shop. There's a deck that doubles perfectly as a stage, and so we set up the scaffolding here at the camp. We put a big banner up that becomes our backdrop. The deck is a stage, and then we run these pre-rehearsed skits that I try to use to build on usually one idea. This year it was guard your heart and the importance of the heart. And so we had a student act as a girl who was about the age of the campers, and her heart was personified, and she started the week unsaved and got saved on Wednesday, was living the Christian life Thursday, and actually went to heaven on Friday. So we do those kind of skits. I'll come up and use the skit as a teaching device, and I will ask kids questions about the skit. They always answer them. They're usually getting them right away. And you'll hear them even emotionally responding to the things happening in the skit, which is when you really know you have them. And I'll just try to maybe have one idea that's illustrated by a daily memory verse, and just to, again, you're speaking to kids who are all the way from maybe 12 down to 5, so it's a large range. I try to say something a 5-year-old can get and understand, something that's going to challenge a 12-year-old. I know that some of these kids are born again because of the ministry that goes here year-round. So I know I'm talking to some little kids that consider themselves Christians. Some of them probably are, and some that aren't. So I always talk about, if you know Jesus, or if you say you know Jesus, here's what God is looking for in your life, and we're doing sort of mini discipleship, because I know that goes on here again year-round. And then I'm also talking to kids who have never, maybe they're new, maybe they've never heard about Jesus, maybe they have, but most little kids probably have not actually had any sort of interaction with him and his spirit. So I'm talking to both of those groups. Then they can only take so much, so we pray over them, we dismiss them, and we use the pavilion then. We have a cooking station. We call it cooking, but it's basically just they're making sort of sweets. We have crafts every year. We have a makeup station for the little girls where they can do each other's hair and paint each other's nails. We have our first aid station up there, which usually becomes sort of a hangout for the older kids. It's nice, they sort of sit there, they all talk. And then we have, we use our youth staff for our high schoolers to be sort of camp staff. So we have adults at the rope swing, adults at the water slide, adults at the little rope swing. The dock is usually just manned by whoever's there. And we have adults at the zip line, as well as the adults in the pavilion. And so they're free to go wherever. And then, so what happens is, I didn't say this, but when they get off the bus at 12:30, one of our high schoolers becomes that little Coatesville kids, we call it camp counselor, like the old days. And so each one of our high schoolers has, ideally it's 1-to-1, but we usually bring about 100 or so kids from Coatesville, so it's about 80 of our high schoolers to about 100. So some of our high schoolers do have 2. We usually let that be the older kids. kids have been here several years, they get a couple kids and then they have to juggle. In past years, we were literally bringing 200, 250 kids in from Coatesville, and our thought was like the more the merrier, get them in. But we started cutting numbers down because it was just so out of control. And even though we had the numbers, we felt like the quality of the ministry was higher if we limit it to about 1-to-1 or 1.5 to 1 in terms of kids from the city of Coatesville to kids in our youth group. So for us, because we're able to bring 80 high schoolers, that comes out to about 100 high school kids. If I was bringing a group of 30 high schoolers, I would probably select about 40 kids from Coatesville. You could definitely do more. You could probably easily bring 60 or so, but then it's going to dictate the kind of program you're going to run and what kind of one-on-one and personal ministry your high schoolers or your people who are camp counselors can have. I've really worked this year to take the ministry from the stage and put it back on the young people that are with the kids from Coatesville. So I've given the little kids from Coatesville questions to ask their counselors, and they have all different verses to work on. And our kids have really stepped up to the challenge, especially this year, of personally wanting to minister spiritual things into the lives of the little kids. And so the ministry, even though it's not super structured, should be happening that whole 4-hour block. And, we tell our kids, we try to coach our kids a little bit, pick your spots. They're little kids, their minds wander, they want to run to the next thing. So pray and see if they ask you an interesting question, or you get a chance to talk about their life or where they live, or do they go to church, or anything like that. So we have our young people really all day long really seeking to find those open doors and those open windows. And we really work hard with our high schoolers. We talk to them about loving someone. We talk to them, for some of them it's their first anything close to ministry in their life where they've had to really depend on the Lord, love someone that maybe doesn't love them back, love someone that's not exactly like them, or even just love a little kid, which is hard for some teenagers. They just don't know what to do with little kids. So we're working with them all week. We usually have time for them to tell us what their struggles are, and we help them think through the different situations they're going to face. And you do have to do a lot of coaching of your high schoolers. We probably actually could do even more of that than we do. Because for them, it's work, it's something new. But I think the emphasis on prayer gets across to our students that even though there's lots of practical things that need to be learned, this is ultimately a spiritual work. So we really talk to them about learning to pray all day long. And for some of them, it's their first times praying focused prayers, and it's their first times having to pray themselves through a 4-hour block of the day. And so we say, pray as you're running across the soccer field, pray as your kid's getting hooked up to the zip line, pray as you don't know what to do or you don't know what to say back, or pray as they're running away from you or they get mean to you. And so our kids hopefully are learning to really pray through the day. We pray for safety every year because anything could happen at this camp. But literally in all these years, we've never had one major injury, we've never had one water accident, we've never lost a kid. I really feel like it's miraculous. Cut that out if you need to. But the safety here has been incredible. And I don't even think I can chalk that up to our efforts, because just by the sheer number of kids, even at our day camps that have gone through here, I think we've really seen the hand of the Lord in that. We've never had a major disruption, and that part has been blessed too.